Our guest is Brian Mahoney from the Associated Press. Joins us here this morning on Big Board Sports. Brian, Rodger, Wyland, Brady, Farkas in Albany. Good morning to you, Brian.
Hey, how are you guys?
We're good, Brian, and thanks for coming on for a few minutes. Let's get right to the A topic that broke last night. How surprised were you when you heard the news that Wade was leaving Miami and going home to Chicago?
Well, I was really surprised. I think a lot of people were, even though you had heard kind of talk that there was this possibility that things were kind of falling out there a little bit. But this it seemed like, a couple times before he had maybe flirted with other teams and just never seemed like he would actually leave. And even when it started to leak out last night that he was, I didn't believe it quite yet. I just thought that if he was going to leave, it would have been for a contender, and no contenders could pay him the money he'd want. So it just seemed like, in that case, he'd stay where he was. So, yes, I was extremely surprised on that one.
So, Brian, did he leave because he really wanted to go home, or did he leave because he was maybe disgruntled that he didn't get the money that maybe he thought he deserved from Pat Riley to stay in Miami?
I think it was a matter of saying, I want this level of respect, and if you don't get it, I'm willing to leave. And I thought he would get it eventually. I thought, okay, he had to maybe take their time making him the right offer, save money in case they could get Kevin Durant. But once that didn't happen, I thought they would throw the rest of the money at Dwayne Wade and say, okay, now stay for this. But obviously that didn't quite happen. And, going home is certainly something that appeals to a lot of people. Once the Bulls could find that money, which I wasn't sure they'd be able to, then yes, to make the kind of money he's going to make there and do it in your hometown is a great opportunity.
Brian, Pat Riley is beloved here in the Capital Region, Schenectady native. We know what a great job he has done, but do you place a little bit of blame on him for not getting this wrapped up a little sooner with Wade, that maybe he just assumed that Wade would never leave?
Well, I think, Roger, we have to kind of watch how Dwayne Wade plays. If it's, it's quite possible. A couple of years ago, Dwayne Wade kind of his best years were behind him, and he had a good year last year. But if Pat Riley has in his mind that Dwayne Wade only has this much left, and I'm only going to offer him this much money, and it turns out he's right. If Dwayne Wade goes and he, is hurt in Chicago and doesn't play great, then Pat Riley was right. But if it turns out that Dwayne Wade plays like he did last season for a couple more years and could have helped the Heat, then then you got to wonder why he didn't find a way to get this done. I think this is one we won't really know for sure quite yet.
What do we think this move actually does for the Bulls? Because the Bulls have made headlines this offseason. They go out and get Rajon Rondo and Dwayne Wade. All that means to me is now they have a backcourt that really can't shoot from the outside at all.
Well, that is all we know so far. We know that it would have been a great backcourt 5 years ago. We don't know what it is right now in today's NBA, where you got to have shooting, and right now they don't have it. It doesn't look like so. Potentially, if those guys stay healthy and play well, they can be really dynamic. But right now, it looks like they're just an intriguing team without necessarily being a very good team.
Talking with Brian Mahoney, Associated Press. Lots going on in the NBA. This is heavy New York Knicks country. Brian, what's your thought on the overhaul of that roster? And now you look at their starting five that they'll put on the court next year. Are they legitimate contenders in the East to get to the playoffs next season, in your opinion?
I think they're definitely contenders to get to the playoffs. As far as beyond that, I kind of put them in the same category we just mentioned with the Bulls. I think they're certainly intriguing if everyone stays healthy, but right now we just don't know for sure. They're relying on too many guys who haven't stayed healthy for a few years, and again, this could be. I like the fact they're trying it. I think certainly what's the harm when you come off a couple of bad years like they are, taking a shot at this. But again, we don't really know when you're talking about. Everyone knows Derrick Rose situation. Noah last year, we don't know if he's really done or if that was just one bad year. So a lot that we don't really know for sure, but certainly I think the chance is there that it could put, certainly I think the playoffs are a realistic expectation.
Brian, I don't think anybody expect Russell Westbrook to remain in Oak City. Are the Knicks real contenders to land him next summer?
In my mind, no, right now, because I don't think he's going to leave as a free agent next year. I would think if he doesn't commit to staying there, I think they would trade him. I think they can't risk losing him like they did Kevin Durant. And I think the Knicks have an asset to get him in a trade. So I think either Westbrook stays there as a free agent or he leaves via trade. So either way, I don't see him. it's a good talking point, but I don't see him coming to the Knicks as a free agent next summer.
Derrick Rose, a big name with the Knicks now. Carmelo Anthony, a big name with the Knicks. Do you think there's enough basketballs to go around between Rose, Anthony, and Kristaps Porzingis? Will having Rose and Anthony stunt his development at all?
I understand why that's a fear, certainly, but I don't think so. I think Carmelo actually had a great year passing the ball, for him. He's never going to be LeBron James, the guy who's going to get you 7, 8 assists a night, but, he gets you 4 or 5 now. I think he's willing to play team ball. I think he wants to. He's at a stage of his career. He knows he's not a 28-point-per-game guy anymore, so I do think the commitment will be there to moving the ball. I think they have a coach in Jeff Hornacek who knows how to do it. If you watch his Phoenix teams, they played much better offense than we've seen in New York recently. So, yes, I do think, whether they'll do it perfectly remains to be seen, but I think that they'd be willing to do it. I think they want to do it, and I think they can do it.
Brian, has Phil Jackson, in your opinion, done a good job since he has taken over as the president? We know what he's done as a coach with 11 NBA rings. I know he wants to win. I would think he wants to win a ring as the exec. In your opinion, has he done a good job so far with this New York Knicks organization?
Well, I think he's gotten more wrong than he's gotten right. And certainly, I think to be fair to Phil, when you take a job and you have no experience doing it, it was going to take a little while to learn how to do a job right. In his first year, he got a lot really wrong. Certainly, the Derek Fisher hiring did not work out at all. Some of his trades haven't necessarily worked out. We've seen guys he dealt for really nothing go on to become contributors to good teams that he probably could have gotten better assets back for. But I think now certainly the Porzingis traffic worked out well last year. We saw these moves this year. I think were all decent moves. Again, we don't really know if the guy will stay healthy, but I do think they were all workable moves. So I think Phil's gotten better. But would I say a good job? No, probably not. He's probably about honestly what I expected him to do with the experience he had.
You know this question's coming because you've been on my shows many times over the years. We are big Jimmer Fredette fans here in the Capital Region. We had Jimmer on this program yesterday. He's out in Denver. He's on the Nuggets Summer League team. They play tomorrow, I believe, a first game. Jimmer is not giving up on trying to make a roster, trying to be a factor, coming off the bench, scoring some points. At some point, he may end up going overseas and making a lot of money, but he's not ready to do that yet. In your opinion, would the Nuggets possibly be a landing spot for Jimmer Fredette?
It's a good question. And certainly, as we talked about earlier, Roger, the fact that he needs shooting, and, that's always going to be something he has as well as anybody. The thing he doesn't have, obviously, is height at his position, where he can't be a 2 guard, has to be a 1. And, in a lot of coaches' minds anyway, and we see the speed and the kind of player who are point guards now, and it's just hard for him to compete with those kind of guys. But certainly Denver's a team who, does need some shooting. That's about the one thing they are kind of missing a little bit. So, it's worth a look there. I hope he makes it. I thought last year, he certainly gave a good effort in the short time he was with the Knicks. But will it work out or not? Certainly he's got certain things he's always going to be fighting against.
Well, we wish Jimmer the best of luck. Brian, we wish you the best of luck in everything you're doing. Great work, as always, covering with the Associated Press. And thanks for jumping on with so much going on in the NBA right now. We appreciate a few minutes.
Hey, thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you, Brian. That's our good friend Brian Mahoney from the Associated Press.